Kanċillier Professor David Attart, Proretturi Professur Joseph Cacciattolo u Professor Carmen Sammut, Sinjuri, Merħba għal din iċ-ċelebrazzjoni ta' gradwazzjoni, ir-raba' waħda minn sensiela ta' 25 ċerimonja fil-livell postgraduate. Huwa ta' sodisfazzjon għall-Università ta' Malta li nħabbru li ser jigradwaw aktar minn 2600 student f'din is-sezzjoni ta' gradwazzjonijiet għas-snin 2020, 21, 22. Fosthom hemm 113 il-dottorat li minnhom 88 huma dottorati ta' riċerka fuq sma varji. Nibdew iċ-ċerimonja billi nistieden lill-Professur Claire Vassarlo mill-Fakultà tal-Arti biex tindirizzana. Professur Vassarlo.
Chancellor, Prorectors, students, graduands, honourable guests, fellow academics, welcome. I'd like to dedicate this oration to the memory of Professor Joseph Hainaut, who left us earlier this year, 2022. Among today's graduates are a number from my Department of Translation, Terminology and Interpreting Studies, an area of academic study that is relatively new to our university since it was inaugurated in 2003 on the eve of Malta joining the EU and of Maltese becoming one of its official languages. This entry would have caught us embarrassingly unprepared were it not for the foresight of my esteemed head of department, mentor and dearly beloved friend, Professor Joe Hainaut. Professor Hainaut's call to action and the university's and faculty's reply in establishing the first course for translators and interpreters for those vacant EU jobs is itself a reflection of the university's own commitment to this country, to provide for new eventualities, to listen to stakeholders, and to find a path between education in its broadest sense and the honing of our courses to reflect changing trends in the workplace. Of all the faculties which prepare students to enter the working world, the Faculty of Arts, that is, the humanities, are at the very centre of what it means to be a university, and to keep the principles of what it means to be human at the core of our teaching and learning. Our kind of learning and teaching, research and writing, outreach and interdisciplinary interests are those which encompass the transferable skills of critical analysis, of writing well, of reading with purpose, of public speaking and debating. In short, to provide the country with graduates and postgraduates, such as these among us today, who are able to take on the challenges of rapidly changing work and world conditions as technology evolves and job and professional descriptions adapt. A recent Tracer study has in fact shown clearly that humanities students with a postgraduate degree are those most likely to achieve job satisfaction, professional status, good salaries, and the ambition, drive, and adaptability to change jobs according to opportunity and changing circumstance. To some, perhaps, the idea of translation as an academic study and postgraduate area of research might seem a little odd. After all, isn't it just a case of moving words from one language to another? Isn't it just a practical piece of work? Isn't it something that happens in the background while the real work gets done? Isn't it invisible? Translation is not simply a footnote to history, but is an actual and active agent of change, perhaps even the first mover in revolutions, and the protagonist in the developing history of ideas. Massive movements in society, such as the Renaissance, which was based on the translation of Greek and Hebrew texts into Arabic in Baghdad, from Arabic translated into Latin in Toledo and Cordoba, and brought over from the Islamic Golden Age into the darkness of early modern Europe, where they lit the light of learning. These annotated and translated texts in many subjects constituted the driving force in the gatherings of the learned, which became the sites of the earliest European universities. Here I can't but nod to my second alma mater, Bologna University, over 900 years old, and the earliest of European universities, followed by Paris, Oxford, Cambridge, and others. The sites of literacy and the light brought by the Reformation of the Church, where historic figures such as William Tyndale and Martin Luther translated the Bible, the former into English, the latter into his German dialect, and the huge effects that acts of translation exerted on Catholicism, on the power of the Church, on the schisms they caused, the sacking of monasteries, the deaths of innocents. These are what we call post-translation effects, or the shaping power of ideas which move freely and imperceptibly from language and culture to language and culture, bringing change and revolution, progress and suffering, new architectural monuments and destruction of old ones in their wake. To study history, to study any form of philosophy, sociology, critical theory, psychology, is to engage, knowingly or otherwise, with translation, with texts that have been rewritten through the subjectivity of the person involved in the close reading, deep interpretation, and the rewriting of every single word that you will read in your own language. No translated text is free of the mark of the translator, of the bias, the choices and decisions, the manipulation or censorship. And to ignore the hands that shape the text you read is to leave yourself dangerously open to reshaped and reinterpreted ideas. We now speak of the ethics of translation, of making visible the name of the translator or rewriter on the cover of every translated work. For better or for worse, there is a responsibility which every translator should and must carry as they take the text into its afterlife, as Walter Benjamin claimed. And in so doing, the work continues to develop. As Jorge Luis Borges points out rather provocatively, he says, perhaps the translator's craft is more subtle, more civilized than the writer's. The translator obviously comes after the writer. Translation is at a more advanced stage. Translation is also an interdiscipline. By its nature, it touches on every subject. Language is inseparable from culture and at the center of all communication. Multicultural and multilingual sensitivity and the ability to mediate between cultures and languages are part of the skill set inculcated in translators and interpreters as an aspect of their transferable skills. My own journey did not begin with translation, which is the case with most of us in our department. I began my studies at the University of Malta in the dark days at the end of the 1980s as a mature evening student, aged 23. My first degree in literature, linguistics, and philosophy led me to a scholarship in Bologna, where I worked for and received a PhD in semiotics by the age of 31. I have been blessed with some inspiring teachers along my way, some of whom are sadly no longer with us today. Teachers I encountered formally, and others who are my family. I was blessed with a father who introduced me to art and philosophy, grandfathers who believed in reading, music, travel, and the importance of conversation. Sadly, the women in my family were not encouraged to follow formal tertiary education, although they are all well read. The mark of all their broad humanistic and encyclopedic knowledge, the ideas of what a true education consists of, are what I hope I pass on to my own students today. Thank you.
Nistedinkom issa tisimgħu l-indirizz tar-rappreżentanta tal-gradwati, is-Sinjura Yasmin Bajada li se tingħata l-grad ta' Master of Arts. Ms. Bajada.
Chancellor, Rector, Pro-Rectors, members of Council and Senate, members of the academic body, distinguished guests and fellow graduates. On momentous days like this one, we tend to reflect on themes like the value of education, why the arts matter, or the importance of critical thinking in today's world. When we are in the midst of reading for our degree, we rarely pause to think about these crucial aspects of education, although they subconsciously frame every thought we think, every word we write. In time, graduation day dawns, and we are suddenly made aware of the beauty of it all. All it takes is a long black gown and a cap, rented and returned at the end of the ceremony, to remind us that our academic knowledge is indeed something to pride ourselves in, a significant achievement to celebrate with those who have shared with us their wisdom and their learning, and those who have supported us along our academic path. Today, I would like to urge all my fellow graduates to return their academic dress at the end of the ceremony, but not our present heightened awareness of how beautiful education truly is. What constitutes beauty is a grand philosophical question that I cannot attempt to answer in a brief speech. But what I mean by the statement, education is beautiful, has nothing to do with beauty with a capital B. I'm thinking along the lines here of a more simple kind of beauty, a lived beauty. Here's one of the ways education is beautiful. It has gathered graduates from different disciplines of learning under one roof, embracing rather than eliminating all the differences that make us who we are. We have different faces, different backgrounds, countless interests, and each one of us forms part of this learning community that our alma mater, the University of Malta, has nurtured. It's not the rich tapestry of varied academic profiles and interests that we weave together as a collective beautiful. Isn't it beautiful, the fact that the process of learning is also a meeting of minds? Education is far from a solitary experience. It is always a conversation between at least two people. A student comes into contact with some brilliant scholars, great people and minds, both in lecture halls and books. We have so much to learn from each other, students and scholars alike, and we achieve this by listening to each other, by keeping ourselves and our minds open to diverse perspectives. I think that this need for openness among people for learning to occur makes education beautiful. In his graduation speech, David Foster Wallace speaks about how we can use the critical thinking skills we have honed in our formal education to exercise empathy and compassion in our daily lives. In this sense, it is beautiful to be educated, isn't it? Being part of student activism, the act of transgressing the boundaries of what has already been taught and written, or simply a great turn of phrase discovered in the moment of its writing. These are instances of joy in one's academic journey that make one's education quite beautiful. But the most beautiful thing about being a student is that you are aware that you are still just a student, that you still have so much to learn from your lecturers, your peers, and the people you encounter through their work. There is a certain sense of nobility in a student's profession, which is the pursuit of knowledge. Knowledge that is not finite, but is always in the process of redefinition and negotiation. Knowledge that does not dictate in a single voice, but rather sings in a myriad voices. Knowledge that has no race, gender, class, or ethnicity. In short, knowledge that emerges out of the conversations of a beautiful education, an education that embraces difference, that practices openness, freedom, and empathy. Being an active student in pursuit of this kind of knowledge, now that is beautiful. Here I turn to the academics who are present today to remind you of your significant role in curating your students' education. In John Williams's novel Stoner, a teacher, William Stoner, considers enlisting to fight in the First World War. To dissuade him from joining the war effort, his head of department tells him, open quote, "You must remember what you are and what you have chosen to become, and the significance of what you are doing. There are wars and defeats and victories of the human race that are not military and that are not recorded in the annals of history. Remember that while you're trying to decide what to do." Close quote. With your ability to design study units, assign set readings, generate discussion, and amplify other voices, you have the power to give your students a beautiful education, and that is no small victory in the current political climate. Now that we have established that education is indeed quite beautiful, what do we do with this knowledge? What do we do with things of beauty? To borrow John Keats's phrase. We admire things of beauty privately, but we also share them with others. We unpack them with critical insight, perhaps only to admit in the end that we have only touched the surface of their beauty, just as I have only touched the surface of education's beauty today. We also live beauty and live by it. We have made the most out of our privileged access to a formal education. Being able to put into practice the learning we have acquired through education is another privilege we must exercise in our daily lives. Earlier on, I referred to a lived beauty, an everyday kind of beauty. I would like to return to the idea that education is beautiful and turn it slightly on its head, to remind you that things of beauty can also be an education. A novel, a film, a play can be an education. Listening to someone can be an education too, especially if their voice and experience are so unlike your own. Graduates, I hope that equipped with the critical thinking that our formal education at the UM has honed in us, we will be able to recognize these beautiful sources of education that always surround us and to learn from them. Now that we have acquired another degree, it is time to be students again. I would like to thank the Department of English for giving me a literary education that was also deeply humanistic and indeed beautiful over the past 5 years. Thank you for helping me curate my own voice and for the fantastic book recommendations. I'm also grateful for the Department of English Students Association, DISA, for often pushing me out of my comfort zone and for enriching my experience as a university student. Lastly, I would like to thank my beloved parents, Irene and Joseph, who dreamt of this moment more than I did. Without understanding my love for what I study, you have believed in me and supported me. Thank you for your love and care. My warmest congratulations to all the graduates. Thank you.
Loti tal-gradi ta' Master fil-Fakultà tal-Arti. Master in Contemporary Diplomacy. In absenzia, Helen Cezza Cilisa, Shita Laxmi, Raul Mendoza Gallo, Mercy Mutemi, Collins Onyago Odur, Velini Wazimin, Arlette Winout. Master in Interpreting Studies. In absentia, Charlene Farrugia. Master in Translation and Terminology Studies. Preclarissimi candidati. Placuit autoritatibus universitate moderande. Prefectus dignos vos declarare. Qui laurea insignibus decoremini. Sponsor, Professor Dominic Fenech.
Tuum in conspectum, magnifice rector, adducimus hoslectissimos candidatus, omnibus laureae insignibus, more institutoque maiorum a te honestandus, qui a consiliaris et senatoribus huius universitatis dignissimis presentati, te mox rogabunt ut, tibi attributa potestate, eios magistros renuncies, atque in eius modi censu cooptatos adscriptumque nomines atque edicas.
Martina Cremona ġiet l-ewwel fil-kors tagħha.
Ut itaque Deus, exoratus vertat bene, nobis attributa autoritate, te magistram eo iure, censeri et esse co optimos sunt creati ali, edicimus et pronunciamus, tibique omnibus honoribus, cum laurea conjunctis, fruendi et utendi, facultatem facimus. Cape iam, collate, tibi dignitatis ornamenta, et quid illa instituto maiorum portendat intellegge. Gesta sic togam anc, ut norint omnes te in magistrarum collegium allectam esse. Sit tibi liberalis pilleus ic, velluti ornamentum laureum, quo donabantur post certamen victorias. Quant opere vero, te de dignitate adepta in totius academici cetus nomine gratulemur, gestetur tibi ic nosteram plexus. Congratulations.
In absentia Carlos Azzopardi, Janice Bonici. Dina Camilleri. Martina Caruana. Dana Falzon. Sephora Francalanza. Natlin Johnson. Rachel Magro Heyman. Paola Pagano Mariano. In absentia Maria Martina Portelli u Saskia Schulze. Master of Arts. Preclarissimi candidati. Placuit autoritatibus universitate moderande, prefectus dignos vos declarare, qui laurea insignibus decoremini, Sponsor, Professor Dominic Fenech.
Tuum in conspectum magnifice rector, adducimus hoc clestissimus candidatos, omnibus laureae insignibus more institutoque maiorum a te honestandos, qui a consiliaris et senatoribus huius universitatis dignissimis presentati, te mox rogabunt ut tibi attributa potestate eos magistros renuncies, atque in eius modi censu cooptatos ad scriptumque nomines atque edicas.
Jasmine Alexa Bajada ġiet l-ewwel fil-kors. Fil-qasam tal-istudji tagħha jkun English, Modern and Contemporary Literature and Criticism.
Ut itaque Deus, exoratus, vertat bene, nobis attributa autoritate. Te magistram iure, censeri et esse quo optimo sunt creati ali, edicimus et pronunciamus, tibique omnibus honoribus, cum laurea conjunctis, fruendi et utendi facultatem facimus. Cape iam collate tibi dignitatis ornamenta, et quid illa instituto maiorum portendat intellegge. Gesta sic togam anc, ut norint omnes te, in magistrarum collegium allectam esse. Sit tibi liberalis pilleus ic, velluti ornamentum laureum, quo donabantur post certamen victores. Quant'opere vero te de dignitate adepta in totius academici cetus nomine gratulemur, gestetur tibi hic nostram plexus.
Archaeology in absentia Nico Muscat. Contemporary Western Philosophy, Christopher Fenech. English Culture and the Media. In absentia Ruth Bedzina. Elizabeth Mikallef. Terezien Samut. Ruth Vella. English, Modern and Contemporary Literature and Criticism. In absentia, Christina Beach. Sean Fenech. Jeremy Gutt. In absentia, Luke Mikallef. Sophie Patch. In absentia, Elena Pocock u Isabel Samut. Film Studies, Marco Attard Portugues. In absentia, Emily Ann Beckman. Edmund Camilleri. In absentia, Mario Cordina. Stephen Rota. Aldo Zammit. Chris Zarb. French, Anna Shikluna. Geography, Jessica Dalli. Stephen Joseph Giuliano. History, in absentia, Keith Gatt. Humanitarian action, Waed Abbas. Ahed Nasser el-Din Abu Gder. Haya Al-Abadi, in absentia. Marlos and Arboro, in absentia. Harold Breaks. Rahma Khenchiri. Thailand An Nguyen. Lea Chloe Pellicer. Kat Polit. Anas Kamil Salus. Issa se nifqu għal ftit minuti mill-loti ta' ċertifikati biex nisimgħu lil Malta Philharmonic Orchestra String Ensemble. Inkomplu bloti ta' ċertifikati. International Relations, Gabriella Sutton. Literary Tradition and Popular Culture, in absenzia Yamin Guarracino. Maltese, Beverly Ajus. Dorian Shiberras. Social Studies, Kevin Mercia. Sociology, Solange Inazia Bonello. Natalia De Battista. Maria Desira. In absenzia, Tara Mikallef u Godwin Spiteri Asha. Master of Arts in Global Maritime Archaeology. In absenzia, Diordie Chevetokif, Nancy Lynn Fisher. Master of Arts in Health, Medicine and Society. Preclarissimi candidati, plaquit autoritatibus universitati moderande, prefectes dignos vos declarare, qui laurea insignibus decoremini, sponsor Professor Dominic Fenech.
Tuum in conspectum magnifice rector, adducimus os lectissimos candidatos omnibus laureae insignibus, more institutoque maiorum, a te honestandos, cui a consiliaris et senatoribus, huius universitatis dignissimis presentati, te mox rogabunt ut, tibi attributa potestate, eos magistros renuncies, atque in eius modi, censu cooptatos ad scriptumque nomines atque edicas.
Janella Borch ġiet l-ewwel fil-kors tagħha.
Ut itaque Deus exoratus vertat bene nobis attributa autoritate, te, magistram eo iure, censeri et esse quo optimo sunt creati, ali, edicimus et pronunciamus, tibique omnibus honoribus, cum laurea conjunctis, fruendi et utendi, facultatem facimus. Cape iam collate tibi dignitatis ornamenta, et quid illa instituto maiorum portendant intellege. Gesta sic toga manc, ut norint omnes te in magistrarum collegium allectam esse. Sit tibi liberalis pilleus ic, velluti ornamentum laureum, quod donabantur post certamen victores. Quant opere vero te de dignitate adepta in totius academici caetus nomine gratulemur, gestetur tibi ic nosteram plexus. Oops.
In absentia Tanya Azzopardi. Roxanne Kauki. Martin Kutayar. In absentia Donatella De Gaetano. Darlene May Gauci. Rachel Portelli. Maria Spagnol. Erika Zamit. Master of Arts in International Humanitarian Action. In absentia, Krista Kallus, Sion Shen, Kathleen Harvey, Yared Watentsai. Master of Arts in Mediterranean Studies. In absentia, Kevin Apap. David Charles Craig Bartolo. Gerald Manuel Borch. Joe Cappello. Loti tal-gradi ta' Master fl-Iskola tal-Arti Performattiva. Master of Arts. Preclarissimi kandidati plaquit autoritatibus universitate moderande. Prefictis dignos vos declarare. Qui laurea insignibus decoremini. Sponsor Dr. Stefan Aquilina.
Tuum in conspectum magnifice rector, adducimus os lectissimos candidatos, omnibus laurea insignibus more institutoque maiorem atione standos, quia consiliaris et senatoribus uius universitatis dignissimis praesentati. Temox rogabunt ut, tibi attributa potestate eios magistros lunientes, atque in essiu modi, censu coptatos ascriptosque, nomines atque adicas.
In absentia, Maria Cassar, Massimo Di Meco, Martin Gauci. Kaylee Gelfo. In absentia, Yvette Grek Bohajar, Luke Mitzi, Clive Piscopo, Christine Sherry. Master of Music, Josef Bujeja. Loti tal-grad ta' Master of Arts in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages fiċ-ċentru tal-Profiċenza fil-Lingwa Ingliża. Preklarissimi kandidati. Placuit autoritatibus universitati moderande. Prefectes dignos vos declarare. Qui laurea insignibus decoremini. Sponsor Dr. Odette Vassallo.
Tum in conspectum magnifica rector, adducimus hos lectissimo candidatos, omnibus laurea insignibus mores titutoque maiorum et te odestandos qui. A consiliaris et senatoribus huius universitatis dignissimis presentati, te mox rogabunt ut, tibi attribute potestate, eos magistros renuncias, atque in ios modi, censu coeptatus atriscosue, nomines atque edicas.
Del Cortis. In absentia, Harriet Rosa Basil, Claude Coleiro, Matthew Michael Dunn, Natasha Grishti, Diana Weronka Wikowska, Lindsay Marie Sanz. Issa nitlob lil gradwati l-ġodda jqumu bil-wifqa biex flimkien ngħidu l-affermazzjoni. Jiena nilqa l-unuri u l-privileġġi mogħtija lili llum. Jiena nwiegħed li nħaddimhom b'responsabbiltà għas-servizz tas-soċjetà u li nagħmel hekk skont il-liġi u l-Kostituzzjoni ta' Malta. U fil-waqt li jien, membru tal-Korp Akademiku tal-Università ta' Malta, nagħti kelma sħiħa li nimxi dejjem skont il-liġijiet u r-regolamenti tagħha. F'isem l-Università nifraħ lil gradwati l-ġodda u lill-familji tagħkom f'din l-okkażjoni. Proset.
counsel together against the Lord and against